Hey everybody, Stu Smith here going live. I am also trying to go live with Instagram as well, trying to see if this is going on my Instagram page as well. So I'm opening up this questions and answering session to folks on YouTube channel, my Facebook page, as well as Instagram. So this is a new feature that allows me to stream to all of them all at once, and we'll take some questions as they start coming in. But first, I'm writing an article today on um, fitness and mental health. Read a couple of studies over the weekend where just some moderate physical activity can help you with your mental health. I mean, yes, I have kind of always known that. I think it can help you relieve stress. It can help you relieve anxiety, depression, all of these things. And I guess the actual quote on how much it does in statistics and this study is individuals who exercise have 43% fewer days of poor mental health in the past month than individuals who did not exercise. All exercise types were associated with a lower mental health burden than not exercising. So that means high intensity, low intensity, swimming, biking, running, walking, stretching, yoga, whatever, tennis. Just get out and move. That is the key. It could be also yard work, just any physical activity. Now, they did notice higher um, results, better results when that activity was also social. So, meaning you have a group, you have a buddy, you have a spouse, whatever that goes on a walk with you, you have another person doing it with you, it can actually produce better results. It's a social aspect of it, I guess. Sometimes I just like to go by myself and think and breathe. And I find that to be very relaxing, but it also helps me get into a creative mode, especially if I'm trying to sit down at the computer and write an article or finish a book or whatever. So I've used a simple walk to relieve stress, reset my creative thought process, and go from there. But I found it really interesting, especially the higher intensity workouts as well. So you could work out shorter, faster, harder, and see the same results as someone who's just taking a walk and chilling out with some lower intensity type training, which I always thought, if you're really stressed out, you're burning yourself, but burning the candle at both ends. Sometimes it's not the best answer. And I think it really is dependent on the individual's ability because some people who are in the advanced level of fitness can absolutely burn themselves out even more versus just pulling back and doing just a little bit, focus on your breathing, easy workout, focus on relieving that fight flight response and going more into that rest digest response. And that in turn is going to be very helpful with how you recover that end of the day, because if you can rest and digest better and eat better foods, those two things right there, sleep and recovery, sleep and nutrition, are 90% of your recovery. The missing 10% is where everybody spends all their money on, right? Ice baths, heat, saunas, all that stuff. I mean, those things work, but if your nutrition and sleep's out of whack, it's not going to help you. Um, all right, so let's see if we got some questions. I did have a good question the other day um, from folks And let's see, over here on Instagram, looks like we have some that says, best advice you can give a shorter person for long and heavy hikes. Woo, work on that RPM, right? So that means your pace is going to require those legs to move a little faster than somebody who has longer legs. So your cadence, you have to get in shape for the cadence that you're trying to do, whatever pace that is. Um, it may mean those shorter strides are, half the stride of someone who's taller than you, but you just have to get in shape to be able to do that. And that will require a little bit different engine. So you will have to work a little bit of the, higher heart rate zone than most people that are probably moving out with you. So that means fueling needs to be part of it. Hydration needs to be part of your planning, as well as you getting in shape to crank out that cadence. If it's a pacing thing you're looking at, if you're just hiking for fun, I don't see where it matters. Just you get to where you need to get to. Um, let's see. Let's see what we have here. How can I join NSW while in the fleet? I didn't make score on my ASVAB. Best regards. You know what? That's not really where my strong suit is. Um, there is a standard in the ASVAB that you have to meet. Maybe you can take that again in the fleet. I don't know. Um, you need to talk to your command career counselor, right? If you have one. I'm not sure what they call them these days, but that person might be able to help you. Um, and then just you got to be in shape. You got to work out whenever you can, even when you don't feel like it, doing with whatever you got so you can crush that PST. But there may be some ASVAB waivers for in the fleet that I'm not aware of because the ASVAB scores are set for recruits coming into the Navy. I'm not sure how strict they are for actual in fleet folks. That is something you're gonna have to ask somebody that knows that type of stuff. I'm trying to focus on fitness over here, and I try to stay in my lane. Um, let's see here. Somebody says I look like Peyton Manning. Okay. How can I train for a 30-mile run with opticals when I've never ran that far before? Well, as with anything that you haven't done, you need to progress logically to get to that level, right? Obviously, you're not going to jump into a 30-mile run out of nowhere. If you do, you're probably going to be hurt. Um, my advice would be to whatever you're running right now per week, slowly start progressing up to a point where you're about 10 to 15% increasing each week. This may take months to be able to build up to just 30 miles in a week. Then you got to take it a little bit above that and start mixing in some longer runs, um, and make it to a point where you can at least get 50, maybe 60% of that 30-mile run into your training at somewhere. A lot of questions over here on Instagram blowing up. When do y'all start your winter lift cycle this year? Next week. This week we are on the last week of the fall cycle. So if you look on your calendar, Christmas or no, winter starts the 21st of this week. So in 3 days, winter is here. We're actually starting the day after Christmas for our winter lift cycle. So this week we're doing kind of like the week 13 in the fall training program where it's a test of everything. We're testing all our PST scores. We're testing mile and a half, 4 mile timed runs, some rucks. We're testing lifts, basic lifts that we're going to be doing over the winter because I want to see where they start off and how they improve over the next several weeks as we are lifting and focusing more on strength, and we'll go up. We'll keep progressing throughout the winter, and then tear it up in the spring. All right, so we got some questions over here on YouTube. The neat thing I'm testing out today is I want to see if I can share my screen over on Instagram because tomorrow on Tuesday I do a uh, let's see, I do a workout or sorry, a CSS critique where I share people submitted swim videos and I critique them live here with you guys. So in a minute, we'll test that out just to see if you guys can the see the swim videos that I'm going to share. So I'll pull one up and have it ready to load here in a minute, and then we'll go from there. So let's see. I got some more questions over here. Hey, Stu. Um, Currently training for Coast Guard rescue swimmer. Any tips on buddy towing or water con in general? Yes, do it. You got to practice it. We practice our water confidence training once a week. You could do it more if you wanted to. Um, in fact, some of the guys who aren't comfortable with our once a week session, and we usually do it after a mobility day. Our mobility day is just biking, stretching, foam rolling, working our hips, knees, and ankles, so it makes it a little bit easier to tread water. And um, let's see here. Where's my Instagram going over here? All right. Um, Makes it easier to tread water because most people who can't tread water very well are just stiff and need some mobility work. In fact, if you haven't seen my mobility treading article, you got to check this out. In fact, I'll put it here in the comment section. I might be able to put it over here on Instagram as well. Let me see if I can try that. If you haven't read this article, you should because it's very helpful not only with treading but other water um, uh, water skills that you need to do. So what we do is after the mobility days, we go into the pool for a 5 minute warm up tread. In fact, you can do any swim workout and do a 5 minute warm up before, a 5 minute cool down of treading after. That's a great way to get 10 minutes of tread practice in a normal swim workout and use it as a warm up. Then we will do a drown proofing workout where we simulate hands being tied behind our back, feet together. The reason why we simulate it is one, our pool won't let us tie each other up. It's a normal community pool, so don't even bother. Just simulate it. That's fine. Um, and we'll do bobs and we'll swim 100 meters, not tied up, just swim, work, get winded. And then you have to catch your breath with bobs. If you haven't done that yet, try it. It's very hard and it forces you to get comfortable exhaling when you really want to just inhale. Okay. That's a real important key. The other one is we'll do a float after that for a couple of minutes and then swim another 100. Try to catch your breath bobbing or floating, one of the two. And then we'll travel hands behind our back, feet together for 100. Come back, catch your breath with bobbing, and do a front flip, swim another 100, regular, CSS, or freestyle. Catch your breath with a bob, do a back flip. Then we'll pick up a mask with the teeth. So that is the drown proofing test that we will do mixed in with 100-meter swim. So it turns it into a workout slash pool skills session. If you're doing Coast Guard stuff, you do need a brick. Buddy rescue a brick. Where a lot I see a lot of people screw that one up is if I'm laying on my side, they hold that brick over their head and then they wonder why like it's hard to bring your head up to breathe. So hold it down lower, like over my hip, then use that bottom arm to help you come up to breathe. Strokes. Um, so that's how we help all our Coast Guard guys swim with bricks, and then we all do it just because it's challenging. We'll also rescue each other, do buddy rescues. That's a good one. That's a buds test too. Life saving. Um, Even get into underwater knot tying and even some underwater swim technique stuff. Our pool actually doesn't let us do 50s, so we'll swim, up to about 30, 38, 40. Um, Usually 25s, somewhere between 25 and 40. So we'll practice doing that, but in as few strokes as possible because um, the key is efficiency underwater and not just kicking and pulling constantly because that'll wear you. All right. So that's how we do it. In fact, you can check out that article. I have a great article on the drown proofing one. Um, this is workouts that help with pool skills, drown proofing. You guys can check that out over at Stu Smith Fitness. You guys over here on Instagram, you can do the same thing. Somebody asks, how do I sign up to train with you? Well, only people who train with us are people who are preparing to serve. Like this program right here, Heroes of Tomorrow. If you go to heroesoftomorrow.org, you will see our schedule, where and when we meet. I'm in Maryland. So that gives you an idea of where we are, close to Annapolis. And you have to be in a process of preparing to serve in some way. Military, law enforcement, firefighters, we have all types of branches of service. It's not just SEAL wannabes. We cater everybody. We have Air Force, Coast Guard, Navy, and Marines. So um, good stuff. But you have to want to serve. And the good news is it's free. That's where people don't believe it, but it is free. So, but you have to want to serve. And if you aren't wanting to serve and you're just BSing me, I'll find out because it doesn't take long to find out who's lying. I haven't really had that, but I've had to turn down people that, hey, I'm doing triathlons. I just want a group to work out with. Sorry, we're not that group. I don't have space for people who are just working out to go do triathlon or adventure races. Uh, Now, if you're a veteran and you're going to do triathlons and adventure races, absolutely. You're active duty, you're doing stuff, absolutely. So if you're wanting to serve, have served, or um, uh, currently serving, absolutely, come join us. See, I got out of the army some time ago at 5'6". I remember having to trot it out on the rucks. Also needed to learn how to fuel to hit the standards. Yep, good call there, Raymond. I would agree with that. So currently run 3 kilometers around 14:30. I run have to go down to 13 minutes. How can I improve? Well, I would work on your pace. So 3 kilometers, if I'm not mistaken, 3 kilometers in miles is 1.86 miles. So that's a little bit over our mile and a half. So my advice would be to start working with your 400 meters and 800-meter runs. So if you have to run that in 13 minutes, that means your 400s have to be around 2:15. Is that right? 2:15. But I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't flirt with 13 minutes. Try to get under 13 minutes. My advice would be shoot for 12 because that's an 8-minute mile pace for us. So that's 4 laps around the track in 8 minutes. So your 400s are going to be 2 minutes fast. Your 800s are going to be 4 minutes. So get used to running 400s and 800s for set after set after set until you reach that, 2, maybe 2.5 mile total distance at your goal pace. That is one way to do it. There are multiple ways to do it. You can mix in some sprint jogs. You can mix in some aerobic based training where you just run slow, or you can ride a bike. There's multiple ways to do it. My advice is if you're struggling with breathing, you're just not in running shape. So you have to get in running shape. You can do that, but a majority of your events have to be running. You can do it with some biking, some swimming, some rowing too, but you got to get your heart rate up. You got to breathe and you got to get used to running that distance at that certain pace. So what I always try to do is, in fact, today we did a timed mile and a half, which is 1.5 miles, and you're trying to do 1.86 miles. So just another lap, a little bit over another lap compared to what we're running. And try to get everybody down to 9 minutes. Some guys were under 9 minutes, some guys were like 9:10, 9:15, which is all I think pretty good. So that's almost a 6 minute mile or a little bit better than a 6 minute. So the next workout we did right after that is we did 5 800s. So whatever time that person had on that mile and a half, we did those 5 800s at that mile time. So like if they hit a 6:20 mile, let's say, and they did their run in like a 9:30 or a 9:40, the goal is to, all right, let's flirt with that 6 minute mile pace. So that means our 400s, 400 meter runs are now going to be at 1:30. So that's a 6 minute mile pace. I'm asking you to do that 400 in 2 minutes. So find a track, 400 meters, 2 minute sets. Do 10 of them, right? Let's see if you can handle it with maybe a minute rest, maybe a 100-meter walk rest. Okay, give that a shot. See how it works. Otherwise, get on the running program and get some cardio. Currently in the pipeline. Whoops. Currently in the pipeline for Marine Recon. I'm in part, which is Marine awaiting recon training. Is that correct? Marine await. I'm a little bit rusty with my acronyms, especially when they come up with new ones. Marine awaiting recon training. I think that's it. Working on reducing my time 22:36 3 mile to below 22. What are your thoughts on one time sprint intervals hit call for improving performance? Yeah, I wouldn't do it every day. I would do maybe a hit workout, sprint workout once a week. I'd probably do 2 or 3 goal pace, like I just told the other guy with his 3 kilometer run. Is work on your goal pace. Work on your 400s, your 800s, your mile pace. And try to get that at that 7 minute mile pace. That's going to help you flirt with a 21 minute time, which is not impossible. A 21-minute 3 mile run is actually a little slow for recon guys. Most of those guys are flirting with 18s, hitting that 16-minute mile. But it's passing, and you'll still get through the training with a 21. So I would shoot for whatever runs you're doing. Do a sprint day, do a long, slow distance day, do 2 or 3 goal pace running days where you are focused on running at your goal pace. Then when you get tested, you are running your race. You should know what a 7 minute mile feels like. If you're the other guy, you should know what a 8 minute mile feels like, a 2 minute quarter, a 4 minute 800, an 8 minute 4 lap around a 400-meter track. You should know what that feels like and run your race. Good question. Is there any substitute exercises for swimming if you don't have access to a pool for months on end? Yeah, I've written articles on that. In fact, you can Google it. You know, pool, no pool replacement Stu Smith. In fact, I want you guys to try this little drill. All right. All I did was type in no pool, Stu Smith, um, and this is what popped up. So this is what you do when the pool's closed. Okay. Um, check this out. Just went to the Google machine, typed it in. I write articles a lot. and I've probably written over 2,000 in the last 20 years. And if there's a question out there I haven't answered, I'll be surprised. But every now and then I'm surprised. But anyway, it's a little article on you can't lift, you can't swim. What happens when your pool's closed? Replacing swim with other non-impact cardio activities. You can replace it with more running or rucking if you can handle it. Um, but yeah, there's a whole list of things. Add a sprint day, work swim muscles. You know, can't neglect your core. There's a lot of different options for you when you can't find a pool. Yeah, I remember when they closed down the pools for COVID. Um, I found I did my swimming in 2 different places. I got one of those little swim bungees where it's like a 12-foot piece of bungee I wrapped around my waist and just swam in my neighbor's pool, which was like, 20 feet long, which is kinda tiny, but it was deep enough for me to swim, tied that thing to a tree, and just swam in one place the whole time. Just did freestyle, mixed in some CSS, did another one at a lake where I just tied it to an end of a pier and just stayed right there. So I wasn't swimming across a lake where potentially could be dangerous, whatever. Stayed right there next to the pier, probably about 4 foot deep in water, and swam there. So there may be other options for you as far as swimming is concerned. I mean, if you're on a boat somewhere in the Navy, probably not. Let's say, um, I'd say it. Stu, if you had anyone training with you had an issue with knee hurting when scissor kicking, absolutely. Scissor kicking is hard. Like when you do that scissor kick, you're whipping those legs shut. You open them up and then you whip them shut from the knee down really hard. Um, you probably behind the knees what's hurting you. Just don't kick so hard for a little bit, let it heal. You probably just pulled something. So just whenever you do hard scissor kicks, just make sure you are uh, warmed up, well stretched out, because that yeah, scissor kick is explosive. I mean, I would consider it similar to like box jumping. Like I wouldn't go do a box jump without really warming up doing box jumps. So yeah, give that a try. You may just need to take it easy a little bit and kick a little softer, or put one of those pool buoys between your legs and just use your arms to swim and do free. Freestyle probably won't hurt you. You just kind of kick from your hip there, um, but you still want to swim. Just lay off the side stroke for a little while. When treading, does my head need to be above the water when not breathing? Good question. There are some people who can pass treads. I've seen it happen. It really depends on your grader and the standard set at whatever tread test it is. If your hands are out of the water and your head's under or your head's in the water like this, sometimes they're not going to allow it. However, sometimes they do. So, as long as you're not panicking, that's the biggest um, that's the biggest indicator that you're going to be okay, right? If you're not panicking, the guy's like, "All right, he's just sucks at treading," right? But he's not panicking, right? They want to test your water confidence when they do these types of tests. Now, there may be a tighter standard in some places where your head and chin have to be completely out of the water, your hands have to be out of the water at the elbow, right? I don't know what all the different standards are with throughout the military and other branches that actually use water confidence test. So the answer is it depends. My advice is get better at treading so you can keep your head out if you need it. And the way you do that is work on your mobility. I just put a link in there for you. Um, all right, let me come over here real quick. What type of boots are required to wear at Buds? They issue you the Nike Combat Gen 2s, um, made by Nike. So If you can find them, good job. You might be able to find some on eBay or Facebook Marketplace maybe, but they're hard to find online, um, especially around summer when summer training hits and all these people are going to buds or SOAS or other screening programs within the military. People are buying them left and right. So Nike Combat Gen 2s, really good boots for running. They're not very durable for like rucking and other types of activities, but they're great for running. They're basically like running boots. Ever use any Kelly Starrett mobility stuff from Supple Leopard? Yes, I actually have that Supple Leopard book. Right? It's like a Bible. I love doing my mobility days. In fact, last week I did 2, 3. I did 4 mobility days last week because I pinched a nerve in my back, and it was tweaked hard. Like it hurt to breathe. It hurt to bend over, put on my shoes. Um, and I'm not sure how I did it, but I actually manipulated it back myself, and now I'm back to it 100%. But it took me a good 3 days of working to get that muscles around it a little looser so it could adjust itself back. But yeah, I like his stuff a lot. Mobility Wad, if you haven't been to that website, you should, especially if um, you wanna work on your mobility, flexibility. Um, all right, let's see what we have over here. Currently training for SWIC, but I'm weak in swimming area and I need your help. My recruiter pointed me in your direction. How do I sign up to train with you? Yeah, I'm in Maryland. Go to heroesoftomorrow.org. You can see our schedule. Come join us. Also, you can send me videos and I will critique them. Do I have any recon programs? I do have recon programs. In fact, it looks like this Recon MARSOC program works really well. Updated this year with the latest and greatest out of the Marine Corps training. Um, all right. So you keep asking, are you near Maryland? I am near Maryland. Oh, you're asking somebody else that. Got it. Okay. If you're near Maryland, you can come to me. Though I tell you, I have people from out of state who move here and train with us. So it's how bad you want it. All right. What advice do you have for commissioning into EOD from the academy? Um, well, you have to go through a screener. You got something to do youngster years, kind of like an EOD familiarization of the community. After your freshman year, there's a summer training that you should sign up for. Um, there's not a whole lot to do really as you're a normal midshipman. You can play a sport, you can train for the PSD, all those things that you're going to have to do. And then you go on these summer cruises, get some internships, basically like at a EOD unit at your between your freshman and sophomore year. And then the next year, you go through the EOD screener, which is a weekend long event. Buds does the same thing. Um, a bunch of EOD officers and enlisted guys come out and put you through kind of like a dive school familiarization, a lot of water stuff. So get good at treading and ditching dons and all the pool skills that you're going to have to master, swimming as well. Um, and then just do well. It's a competitive program, so make sure you have everything working for you. Good grades, no conduct problems. Um, all of those things matter. When they're cutting hairs to see who's eligible to go, and then find us. I'm on the yard all the time, coaching swimming. So we work with a lot of the SEAL candidates and EOD candidates on the yard to help them prepare for their screener. Are long swims at Buds 500-meter plus only done in fins, or are they ever done without? Um, you know, Before Buds, like in prep, you may do some long swims without fins, but all of your fins, once your bays are with fins. All your swims are with fins, 100%. So So, and those are all 2 miles and above with fins in the open water. All right. Got a lot of questions today. This opening it up over to Instagram has been awesome. Oh, let's try and see if you guys can see me sharing my screen. All right. So I'm going to share this screen here on my media player. I don't know if you guys can see this over on Instagram or not. We're going to find out. You guys are lagging just a little bit behind me, but I'm going to play this and just test it. I'm not really going to critique this other than see this top arm right here. That's illegal, right? All those flutter kicks, waste of energy. All right. Your top arm has to recover over your head um, underwater. It cannot come out of the water like it is right now. Got to work on that breaststroke pull out or just take it out. So I don't know if you guys can see that. It looks like you guys can see it. Yes. So I can share my screen over on Instagram now and we can do some CSS critiques. Now I'm fired up. That is awesome. Sweet. The process of be able to train with me is go to heroesoftomorrow.org and read that website, right? It explains everything right there, right? It tells you what we do, why we do it, and there's a little video that can, explain it for you. And then there's our schedule. And there's a waiver that you got to sign and send that in, but it's literally no cost. But the process is you have to be preparing to surf in some fashion. That is pretty cool. I'm excited you guys can see that, 'cause that was one of the reasons why I didn't go over to Instagram and do lives over there, because I couldn't share it previously, but now I can. So that's a huge moment in technology. Look at that. Gotta stay nimble. All right. So curious if there's any strategy to picking a placeholder job, MEPS, or if it doesn't matter and anything else to look out for. All right. There are some people who have gotten through MEPS and didn't pick out a job. That's fine. If you can do that, fine. If you can't, not that big a deal. Um, because you just pick a job, and as soon as you crush that PST, send that up to the spec war community. They're gonna put you in the spec war draft and then say, "All right, you got a SO contract." And now you're an SO, but you won't become an SO, special operator, unless you crush that PST. So that is why I tell everybody, do not even talk to a recruiter until you are crushing that PST. And here's why. Because I have seen countless people go join the Navy right out of high school, and now they have 6 months before they ship, and they can't even swim 500 yards to get through the PST. And they really want to be a Navy SEAL, but they did nothing to really prepare themselves. I don't know what they were thinking, but that happens all the time. And if you don't pass that PST by your ship date, you are going into the Navy at whatever rate that is. Now, can you get out of that? Yeah, you could, but it's going to screw you up for wanting to get back in again. So just don't screw yourself up. If you can't pass the PST, you have no business joining the Navy, signing up, getting through MEPS yet, because you're on their timeline now. Like if you do it the way I recommend is like spend all your time in high school, college, whatever, work, your 20s, like crushing the PST. You show up on day 1 and you crush that PST, they're going to send that thing right up to the spec war detailer and say SO contract. And guess what? They're going to call you back. You know, y- why would you show up to a job and fail the job interview? Right? That's what you guys got to think about. mean, this is a job interview that, is in the form of a fitness test. No one's gonna take you seriously if you show up and you can't swim, or you can't pass a mile and a half timed run, or do any pull-ups. No one takes you seriously in that whole office. You're just gonna be another guy to them that's going to boot camp, and they'll deal with you when they wanna deal with you. But you show up, you crush that thing, get through MEPS, take PST, crush it on day 1. You're gonna be, amazed at how many people you lap in that pool and how many people you lap on the mile and a half route that you're running. Because there's people that just sit there and every week they fail the PST. You're wasting the Navy's time and you're wasting your own time if that's you and you screwed up. So my advice, crush the PST before you even talk to a recruiter. Then you can go talk to a recruiter. So instead of having this timeline where you're setting it up for like to go ship on this day, why don't you have a performance starting line, then jump into the recruiter's timeline? Because that recruiter's timeline is theirs. It's not yours. They're not going to ship you when you're ready. You need to be ready, then go ship. And there's two phases of this where people screw this up. You got to pass the PST phase 1, then you got to start preparing for the training phase 2. Otherwise, you're just going to get 2 buds or EOD school or 2 dive school, whatever SWIC school, whatever job you're training. Crush the PST, phase 1. Phase 2, getting through the training. Focus more on longer swims with fins and longer runs. Prepare for logs and boats. It's it's a journey. People don't realize it's not like preparing for, you're in the summer of your high school year and you're preparing for football next season. It's not like you got 8 weeks for football season. You can't do that. This may take a year for you to fully prepare for this kind of durability and endurance that you need. All right. What were the max weight standards for rucking lifting in order to stay in the grind under logs and boats? Ruck 100 pounds? No, I wouldn't say you need 100 pounds. We usually ruck with 40 pounds whenever we're running the beach rucks. 1.5 times body weight, deadlift, squats, solid, you know, 4 or 5 reps. I think that's great. In fact, I already have all that written out. In fact, there's a physical assessment tool right here. You guys check out this link. Physical assessment tool to get you to and through selection. These are my recommended scores that you should have to help you not only crush a PST, but to have all the other elements that you are going to be tested in when you're going through whatever training that is, whether that's rucking, 4 mile timed runs, log PT, boats on your head. Can you do these workouts that are in this little assessment tool? It's a great article. There's a little video in there too. Jeff and I did a little video with it. Mike says he loves the Marine Corps Special Ops program. Cool, man. Thanks. Week 4 today. That's a good one. What type of fins should you begin training with? Good question. Because those big rocket fins or jet fins that you get issued in military spec ops training are challenging. They hurt your ankles badly if you're not used to them. And it takes about a month just to get used to them. So go for some smaller fins, scuba fins. If you've scuba dived before, just your regular split fin, scuba fin, just get used to swimming in those first, and then build up to the jet fins or the rocket fin. I personally, if you have a choice between rocket fins or jet fins, go with the jet fins. I think they're better. I mean, I've swum in both of them, and I like the jet fins better. I think they're a little more pliable than the rocket fins. That will be for Army Special Forces contract. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Um, yeah, those lifts. I mean, it's all about load bearing activities. Army Special Forces, you have some load bearing stuff you're going to do. There's a team week where you got to carry a lot of equipment. It may not look like a boat, but it's definitely going to be an axle, some tires, some rucks, heavy ass rucks. So yeah, you need to be strong and durable to handle, that load bearing, in that. Can I go to Ranger School in the National Guard? Uh, yeah, I think you can. You can go to Ranger School, or you can go to Army SF, become a Green Beret in the National Guard too. So National Guard is the Army. It's just different different program. What's the cutoff age for buds? You need to Google that stuff. I'm not your Spec Ops Google, especially for questions like that. If you ask me questions like what's the eyesight limit or the ASVAB score or the age cutoff, go to sealswick.com and do some research. I'm not doing all your research for you. You should know what that age cutoff is because all you got to do is Google it. Total immersion got me through second class dive phase 20 years ago. Oh, yeah. I worked with Terry Laughlin about 20 years ago. We made a little CSS tape together long back when they were all VHS tapes. How successful are guys that return to buds, in your opinion? Much more successful than guys that have not been to buds. In fact, I want you guys to read this article because I just wrote it. And it is You Failed or Quit. How hard is it to get back to buds? Right? That's the title of this article. And let me tell you, it is harder to get back to buds than it is to get through buds in the first place. It's just hard. Too many things are out of your control that have to fall in line and be in perfect alignment with um with what you're trying to do. Like your group has to be available, empty or not empty, but not full. Your rating that your job that you have after buds has to allow you to go back. You have to really do well in order to get back. Um, so there's some things that are in your control and out of your control, and that's frustrating if you're trying to get back, especially if you spent another 3 or 4 years post buds and your group's full the whole time, or your rate won't let you go. I can't tell you how many guys I've seen that happen to. They wind up doing their entire enlistment in the Navy, never being able to go back, and then I see them, sending me notes that, "Hey, just finished Army SF training," or "I joined the Marines," "just finished BRC," right? So, they go do another Spec Ops job. So, in fact, when I went to Special Forces, Army Special Forces graduation a while back ago, one of my guys was former Navy, was trying to get to buds, or was Navy, trying to get to buds, could never get to buds because his year group was full and his rating wouldn't let him go. His was an undermanned rating. Um, so he got out. The next day, he was in the Army, went through a quick Army boot camp course and put on the uniform, stuff like that, and then was on his way to airborne, did all that, infantry school, did that, and he was at selection, within a few months, and got through selection, got through the Q course, and I saw him graduate, and I probably met at least 25 other former Navy guys there, and so it is a second career choice, for many guys that wanna serve in special ops. And I'd recommend it, especially if you can't get there because, Navy won't let you. Completely out of your control too. Got a few more minutes. Let's see. How often should I lift weights with my calisthenics swimming regiment? Really depends. I mean, we tend to do some supplemental lifts. It really depends on what you're focusing on. right? Are you trying to get better at lifting weights or are you trying to get better at calisthenics, running, and swimming? Really depends. I mean, because you can do both in the same day if you want. Chances are, if you're trying to maintain everything, sure. Do your upper body calisthenics and swim in the morning, go lift upper body in the afternoon. That's fine. Do a leg day the next day. Um, but if you're trying to get really better at something, chances are, your heavy weightlifting may interfere with your faster running for timed runs, or it may interfere with your growth in muscle stamina. So you got to watch out on what you're preparing for. That's why, I use a form of training called seasonal tactical fitness periodization. If you haven't seen it, I want you to read this article because what it does is it breaks down the um, it breaks down the year into cycles. Like next week, we're starting a winter lift cycle. We are going to lift more than we are going to run and do calisthenics. However, we still maintain those by warming up with calisthenics, lifting, then running after the lift. And it's not a lot of running. It is short, fast, mile and a half, 2 mile max type of running, right? Might be some intervals, but it's just to maintain shorter, faster paces. Because our goal in the winter is strength, power, speed, agility, and putting on some mass. Especially if you're a hard gainer, maybe grew up doing endurance sports, never lifted. Those are the type of guys that need to put on some strength. They need to put on some mass in order to get a little stronger. So that's why we're doing that. All right. Let's see. Whew, man, we got so many questions today that um I'm going to have to say to you guys, if I missed your question, and I know I'm missing at least 15 or 20 here, just email me. In fact, you can email me at just read this. You can email me stu@stewsmith.com. Little banner down here at the bottom. Um, stu@stewsmith.com. Email me this question, and I promise you I will answer it. Um, and get to it. But I try to limit these things to an hour. And if continue answering all these questions, I don't think I'm going to finish. Um, so anyway, I hope that answers your question about lifting weights with your calisthenics. It's possible, especially if you just want to maintain everything. But if you're trying to improve on one, you should focus on what you're trying to improve and maybe maintain the other one. Really liked your phase one program right now. Some exercises do not have specified weight, like military press. Should I use weight I'm comfortable with? Yeah. I can't make a generic program with a weight on it. So what I do is I'll say do it 10 times, do it 20 times, right? And you should pick a weight that you could do it 10 times. Now, that doesn't mean 10 times super easy. That means 10 times and maybe 11 or 12, you're probably going to fail. So think about that um, whenever you are picking your weight for these activities. Josh says, "What are some ways to prepare for pool camo when they tie knots in your hose?" Oh, pool comp. Okay. They call it OC8 now at Budge. Should I just practice breath holds and untying knots underwater? You know what? I'll be honest with you. I never practiced any of that stuff. I mean, I went scuba diving since I was 13 years old, but I never practiced pool comp stuff. My advice is get scuba certified, learn how to scuba dive. So, one, it's not foreign to you that week that you're learning how to scuba dive at Buds. Like you've kind of been there, done that a little bit. Then start practicing all the procedures that they are going to teach you to crush pool comp. The last thing you want to be doing is breath holds underwater by yourself, swimming underwater by yourself. I mean, have a buddy with you if you're going to do stuff like that. But, too many people die breath holds underwater by themselves every year. And unfortunately, they're mostly spec ops candidates. So I wouldn't do it. If you want, come on land, untie knots on land, try it that way. Did you say it is illegal to bring the top arm out of the water? I did for the CSS. Freestyle doesn't matter, but nobody can swim freestyle for Navy PST. You can swim freestyle for the Air Force IFT, but you can't swim freestyle for the Navy. So you have to do the combat swimmer stroke or breaststroke, which both are, or side stroke, and all three are underwater recovery strokes. That is probably, if there's one rule of the Navy PST, it is, um, it has to be an underwater recovery stroke. So I see I'm kind of frozen up here on Instagram. I'm going to go ahead and shut that off in that live one over there. And I'll continue over here since you guys are my regulars. We'll keep on going. Any tips on balancing on wooden beams in the obstacle course? Nah, just practice. Practice one leg standing. If you want to practice balance, try one standing on one leg and close your eyes. See what that does for you. You'd be amazed at um, where that works. All the balancing muscles in your shins and legs. Um, oh, all right, I'm done with Instagram. Did I end this? All right, so I'm still here with you guys. Any tips on balancing? Let's see. We did that one. Currently in TCCC cadre. Nice. It's a great course at Eglin and informally training to become a PJ. Awesome. Does your training regimen cover what I need to be able to do to make it through selection? Well, funny you should say that. Have you not seen this? There you go. Air Force Special Warfare. Not only for the IFT and the OFT, but yes, selection activities. This one is one of my best sellers, and it is great. Made a few honor men out of it. It's a good program. You'll be glad you did it. I promise you. I'm not sure how to stop it over here on Instagram. I'll figure that out later. Let's see. A few more questions. Did you ever get down to Fort Pierce and participate in museums events? No, never participated in any of them. I have been to Fort Pierce though. Great place. Back before it's been updated. I need to go again because I think they've really done a bang up job upgrading it from what I can see online. 19, we spoke a month ago about join DEP. I never swam at the time. You suggested the 50-50. I've been doing that 5 days a week. Awesome. Got my SEAL contract last week. I passed with a 1057. Damn. I'll be honest with you. That is not passing very well. But yeah, you can send me an email, stu@stewsmith.com, because there's some stuff you still need to fix, whether that is your conditioning or your technique on that swim. I'm pretty amazed they gave you a swim SEAL contract with a 1057, to be honest with you. I just want to kind of give you an idea of where most people are that are making it through buds. Most people are under 9 minutes that are making it through buds. Every now and then you'll see somebody in the 9:30 range, maybe 10, make it through. But you now need to start preparing to swim with fins, get that swim time better. Because if you're flirting with failing, the first time you take that PST at prep, if you don't pass it, your spec war dreams are done before they even start. So you got to be well better than the minimum standard if you're doing any spec ops job. All right, last question. I've been doing the CSS without double arm pull kickoff now that I've been done the 50-50 workout for about 20 days. I added it back in, hoping to be able to do it for the whole 500. Okay, cool. You noticing any difference in your times? Have you timed a 500 lately, Justin? Because I am curious to how you're doing. Now, these are all good. These are good scores. I mean, you got good land scores. I hope you can tread. I hope you can swim with fins because all that's going to matter. You got a couple of months to really prepare. So keep swimming and keep um, add swimming with fins too. But yeah, you have improved in a month. That's pretty good. But how cool would it have been to not have to sweat it, right? And show up, with a 9-minute swim on your first PST. Just saying, would have been a lot less stressful. This is good. That's a yard per second, 100 yards in 100 seconds. That's where you need to be. Close to it, right? So good job. So how about you, Justin? You got a time on that 500? How much better are you getting after 20 days of the 50-50? If you guys don't know what the 50-50 is, one, you can Google it, 50-50 swim workout, Stu Smith in the Google machine, and you can find it right here. I just put it in the box for you. All right. So, all right, looks like I'm done. I think I got everybody's question over here. If I missed it, I apologize. You can always send it to me at stu@stusmith.com. Um, so check it out. If you're looking for more articles and programming, you can check them out at stusmithfitness.com. And also for sticking around this long, I appreciate it. Use the live15 coupon code and save 15%. Live15 will save you 15% on whatever you want to buy. All right, folks. Until next time, I will be back tomorrow. We'll do some CSS critiques. See you later.